treatments. So I started doing those, and I gradually saw the difference over time of the Tepezza actually happening. It didn't happen right away, so you have to be patient and just let the medicine do what it do. So I started seeing the difference to where my eye just, would learn to adjust itself. So now at this time, it's able, my kids and everybody are able to go back to school. So this is a challenge in the morning. So my day usually starts at 7 and to 9, because I just drive them to school ever since the pandemic. So I just enjoy that time with them. So in the morning times when I wake up, I can really have the double vision until my eyes subsides itself and go back to normal. And it usually takes an hour to 2 hours to adjust. So when I'm driving or, walking or whatever, a lot of people, I understand why they can break limbs, because I am fortunate to where I have the double vision that's up and down. There are some people who have the double vision that's side to side. So in actuality, when some people are walking, instead of looking at the straight part of the more solid vision, they are looking at the ghost part. So what I try to tell them is just stay focused to look forward instead of looking at the top, because that double vision right there, that up there, the ghost part, is where you can lose your leg, especially if you're not knowing where you're walking and everything. So even though you look at that top, it's still going the same way, but to look straight ahead is more of the solid image that you see. So I wanted Dan to show you this, because in the morning times, if you look at the left eye, it's down, and then it just start gradually going back to normal, like on the right side. So by that time, it's 7 o'clock, 7:30. I drop my 2 oldest kids off to school. By the time I get back home, now it's time for me to get the 2 youngest ready to go to school. So they have to be dropped off about 9. So by 10 o'clock, when it's time for me to head to my salon to do customers, everything is fine. And so sometimes it seems to me that the Tepezza has me on a time limit. So if I'm waking up in the morning time, the Tepezza to me seems like it can work all the way up to midnight. One thing I do notice is with my eyes, if I'm very tired or I've overworked, my eyes will start getting blurry a little bit. And it's telling me, like, Natalie, time to go to sleep, time to get some rest. So I need a good 7 to 8 hours to really know that my eyes have gotten the rest that it needs. And so I just met with Dr. Jolie last week before coming here. So he said, Natalie, well, I can snip your muscle to where, you just wake up and your eye looks like the other eye. So I said, oh no, I don't think I want to do that. I'm still young. So I might have years to come where I might need some eye snipping. Because like Dan was saying, back in the day, they didn't have this medicine. I have a client who's 92 years old. So she's had thyroid disease for a long time. So what she does is she wears prism glasses. Like she said, Natalie, I wouldn't mind doing the treatments, but I'm 92. What I have to lose now? So she just puts on the glasses. I don't feel that way. I have sons that play basketball. My daughter does piano. I'm all over the place, me and my husband, in football and basketball. So I just try to get as much time in with them as possible. So I just talked to Dr. Jolie, and I told him I really would like to try to do another set of treatments, because I feel that if the Tepezza was able to move my eye up to where it didn't do it at all, I feel that a second round of treatments can really get me there to where I need to be. And so as being people over the insurance companies and the lawmakers, just understand that all the time, one treatment just might not do. You might need a second set of treatments. So that is what we're trying to work on right now, instead of having the eye surgery, to where, I don't really want to get that right now, because I don't want to have a permanent stare to where, okay, I know this ain't moving. Somebody done cut me. So therefore, it's doing what it wants to do. I need a little more control, So I'm hoping and praying that, yes, the insurance companies do approve it. And, just being an advocate for other people, so they can afford this. Everybody might not be fortunate like I am and have the good insurance through my husband's job, like I might have. So I just want it to be equitable for everybody to be able to afford this, because this disease disease can be very depressing. And Peggy, you up here about to tear me all up and everything. I had to stay focused, girl. So I'm just like, you just never know what somebody else is going through. So, just to be able to get the information out to everybody and to be able to talk to everybody to let them know I'm in the boat with you. And being a mom, yes, it's different. So you want to be there for them. So I understand that. But I do pray that everything works out, even with the second treatments. And if they don't, I'm just going to keep begging and asking again. So it's not going to stop. So they will be able to know who I am because I'm going to beg again for it. But I do appreciate this opportunity to come and, express to you how this disease, has affected my life. And I'm not going to just let it ruin my life or just run it. You just got to keep going on every day and do what you have to do because your children and your family, they need you. But just thank you for this time and opportunity. And lawmakers, if you can do what you do, health insurances do what you do, let's get the job done. Thank you.
I think we have one more patient perspective. Is Laquilla here? Or? Mm-hmm. Yes. Do you want to do a quick video or do you want to come on?
A quick video.
Okay.
If they have some questions, I will.
Okay, perfect. We'll just do a really quick video and then we'll wrap up here really quickly.
My life started changing in the 90s because we noticed that my eyes were always swollen. We didn't know what it was. In 2000, I started losing an enormous amount of weight, 100 pounds in less than a month. That's when they discovered that I had what's called hyperthyroidism. I was losing my hair, my nerves was out of whack, my skin complexion had changed. It was like the color of cigarette ashes. Thyroid eye disease, it's like your eyes are full of sand from the beach. That's how dry they are. They get dry, they get teary, and they begin to protrude. They bulge out like you've been shocked by a ghost. Because everything was going on for so long undetected. I had lost the sight in my left eye. I began to rapidly lose sight in my right eye. I never went out. I wouldn't let nobody see me. I covered all the mirrors in the house because I didn't want to see myself. When I walked to the mailbox, the kids used to tease me and say, "Oh my God, look at the monster." It was a mental experience that I'll never forget because all I could do was cry. I was told I was never going to be seen again. I was gainfully employed. I was in property management, but there was no way I could do the job that I'd love to do without vision. Thyroid eye disease took a lot from me. I couldn't see my children for 7 years. I could hear their voice, feel their touch, but not see them. That was unacceptable. There is someone who can help me. I became an advocate for myself because I wasn't getting the help that I needed. This was the biggest cloud I ever had, but I still found a rainbow, and it was called Graves' Disease and Thyroid Foundation. I had a total of 8 eye surgeries. Thanks to all 8 of those surgeries, I now have vision. And I still don't have the true vision that I need today, but I am grateful for where I am. To see my godson grow up, my goddaughter grow up. My advice to anyone suffering from Graves' disease and thyroid eye disease, you have to be strong and learn to be an advocate for yourself. And that's what I started doing because I wasn't getting the help that I needed. The first doctor that I seen was not for me because when I was telling him my experiences, everything that I was going through, my symptoms, he just sat in a chair. He didn't write anything down. I was like, okay, this is not the right doctors for me. But finally, I found another doctor. This particular doctor, as I was telling him my symptoms, you know what he was doing? He was typing it. He was key punching every symptom in, and when he didn't understand the symptom that I had, he would go back and he said, okay, now explain this symptom right here. Not only that, but he had me come back every 2 weeks. He said, because these symptoms we need to monitor. That's the doctor you want. That's the doctor who's paying attention to you, what your needs are versus what he think you need. Never give up. Don't quit. Find out who you are. Pull that strength from within inside of you and say, I can beat this.
All right. So just to wrap up here, before we do a quick Q&A available for everybody, I want to make sure that people understand what you can do here today. One of the biggest things you've heard today is that research is leading to improved outcomes for patients. Research is what's driving us to new therapies, new treatments, and better care for patients and better outcomes for patients. We're on the cusp of some really exciting research that can restore vision, stop vision loss, and we need to continue that. So investing in the National Eye Institute, investing in vision researchers is absolutely vital to that continued success. In addition to that, one of the things that you've heard is that when treatments are available and treatments are accessible, the new gene therapies that are coming out, and in some of these other spaces, the thyroid eye disease, the different treatments and therapies that are coming out need to be accessible to patients. If we don't make sure that access to new and innovative treatments, they're not going to get the care that they need, they're not going to get the outcomes that they need. And so one of the things that we find really important is, in addition to the research side, is to make sure that we support the Safe Steps Act. It's got bipartisan support, and it's a really, really important bill that allows us to make sure that people are getting access to the therapies they need in a timely way so that they're not experiencing delays and challenges and having to go through arduous processes to get to the care that we know has been approved and has treatments. We want to make sure that that's accessible for all of our patients, and we want to make sure that we support that legislation. So with that, I'm going to end it there. See if anybody has any questions, comments for any of our speakers. Yep.
This is not really offered, it's not pertaining to it, so I have a question. Is there any, I was told once by my aunt that's an RN, I use Visine pretty much every day, and she told me to stop using it, that it was addictive. I kind of laughed at it, I didn't really take it serious, I'm taking Visine, but now I've gotten to the point that it's not even strong enough. I literally have to use Clear Eyes almost every day, or they get red if I don't use them. Is there any truth to that? Because
we're planning a dry eye disease briefing actually in July. I'll make sure that we get your contact information. We can share that information with you because we'll have some additional information about ways that we can address that. But right now for things like dry eye, drops and things like that are typically one of the most prevalent options. There are some other treatments that we can talk about, and I'm happy to share that with you as well.
okay, thanks.
Yep. Yeah, please.
Are you seeing an eye doctor, like an optometrist?
Yeah, definitely see an optometrist.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Just
I've
to
never
make
had
sure-
any vision issues as far as the eye is.
Right, but you want to make sure you don't have something else going on.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
Is there a threshold for the amount of research you need to have for the FDA approval? And if so, how much is that?
Do you want to talk about it or do you want me? I mean,
It's a good question. So when something moves into a clinical trial, you have to have FDA authorization to launch the trial. And there's a series of studies you have to do to make sure the treatment's safe. So that's a challenging process. Then once it's in a clinical trial, the FDA's biggest concern is safety, making sure there aren't too many adverse events. And then the trial is designed with an endpoint, a primary endpoint, and the hope is that treatment meets that endpoint. Like you can read more lines on an eye chart, or your retinal sensitivity is improved, something like that. And designing trials is really challenging because you heard from Peggy, her vision it's donut. So how do you capture her vision changes in a trial? That's really challenging.
and it is, yeah, it's unique to it's unique to every patient, right? You heard sideways, double vision versus up and down.
Right.
How do you measure that? Those are some of the challenges that the FDA tries to solve. But it is challenging for sure. And the more research we can get, the more clinical trials we can get, the more opportunity there is for new FDA-approved treatments.
Did that answer your question?
Do you need a certain amount of clinical trials before petitioning for
Generally,
FDA approval?
there's 3 phases, 1, 2, and 3. Sometimes you can get by with just 2. And what the researchers are looking for is what we call statistical significance. And the more people you have in the trial, the better chance. But Luxturna only had a few dozen people in their trial. That's all they needed to show that, hey, this is really working. So it depends.
Yep.
But the more people you can enroll, the better.
Yep.
I live right here in the back door of NIH. When I was suffering, going through my Graves and thyroid eye disease, I didn't have to lose my sight. They kept telling me to call every month so that I could get into their clinical study, and every month they were full. How is it that who is it that we need to contact so that, like, if we live in the area, we can get more treatment? Because of course, there's treatments for us, but there's not a cure. And it didn't take me until 7 clinicians to get to the proper doctor, and that was extremely too long.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, I think it is one of those things you have to advocate for yourself. I think, all of you talked about that from the patient perspective. You have to advocate for yourself, and there are opportunities for clinical trials. We actually work with a few different partners that share clinical trial information, and those are opportunities for patients with different diseases and rare diseases to be able to consider joining some of those clinical trials and looking at what might be possible in some of those areas.
If I can add one more thing, there's a site called clinicaltrials.gov
Yep.
on the internet, and you can go to that, and it's a lot of information. It's not necessarily all up to date, but people can look in their community to see what's going on, or communities
Yep.
where they're willing to travel. It's a good resource.
Thank you.
And then in our world of retina, we can help with that. Outside of retina, you're on your own. But look for associations that are helping people with a certain condition, and you can find advocates out there. Maybe not for everything, but.
Yep.
I
All right.
completed 2 surgeries. I couldn't get my thyroids treated because I ended up having diabetic retinopathy. So I chose the focal lasers. And April the 3rd, I just went back to make sure all those little blood vessels that was burst in the back of my eyes had all cleared up.
Yep.
But now well inflamed, but we know why that is. That's the thyroid eye disease.
Right. Well, I'm going to try and let everybody go just because we are on the back end here. If you do want to stick around and have any other questions, please do so. Again, I do want to thank our members, all of the members of the Alliance for Eye and Vision Research, and today's sponsors and partners in helping bring today's briefing to you all. So thank you very much, everybody. Again, please stick around if you have any other questions or would like to speak with anybody else. Whoops. Oh.
But they're from Brazilian shoemaker.